Okay, now it's recording.
All right.
Do you want me to wait till you're like inside?
I mean, I'm good either way. I'm inside, so
So this is the first thing that we should talk about is the pros and cons of all the candidates.
okay.
So
All right. Sorry.
all right.
Okay. Figured that out. So talking about the candidates.
Yes.
I think there's quite a few good ones. I wouldn't say some of them are the best, but I think that there are some that are easily better than others. I had a few concerns with a few of them, but the biggest one for me was Seth. He looked like the best person to hire for me, Seth Horkham. He was, and I mean, that might be what they were doing. He was a graduate from Harvard. He was kind of the underdog in his old company. He seemed like he was ready to take on more challenges. He really liked that area of expertise. It just sounded like overall he would have been the best fit because he was somebody that he had a lot of experience, but he wasn't as appreciated in his company. And given a little bit of a boost, I think he'd do really well in this company.
Yeah. So the candidate that I picked that I would have probably hired would be Sonia.
Okay.
I picked her because I feel like she had some really good experience on both ends of the spectrum. I said that she was really good at it says she has a keen insight into what the next technology boom might be, is what the article mentioned. Also said that she was an up and comer, which I mean the whole point of him hiring someone was to find the next star. And I don't know. I think maybe that's just who I felt was probably it. I think Seth was. I don't think there was enough information to go on because he couldn't talk
Yeah,
to anybody.
I did kind of feel that is like there weren't any bad things brought up with Seth, and that itself was kind of a bad thing. Like we just didn't have a lot of information,
Mm-hmm.
but that was kind of who I went with just based on that. Another one that I went off of was what's his name? I'm trying to open up my Word document that had all of it. He was the older guy.
Hughes.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, David Hughes. Because I figured one thing that we could do is we could have David Hughes work and train Rena Shea, and have her be like really good and strong in that company because he was like number 11 in the stars or something like that. He was really good, solid employee and stuff like that. He was a really good person to have work for you, but he was getting older and more seasoned. And seeing that Rena, I don't know how to say her name, still really liked that job and wanted to take it over.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like would have been a really good setup as well.
I think the person that I didn't like the most was probably Gerald, just because of how I mentioned how he treated his employees.
Yeah, and he was late. He didn't apologize for anything. He's like, hey, yeah, I'm the best. Get over it. You know,
Yeah.
you work my schedule. Yeah, that's kind of what I felt as well. And in some ways, and in some places, that is kind of better to have. But I felt like in this situation, that definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
Another thing that I suggested to do before you just flat out hired Seth was to talk to Craig, because he was kind of the headhunter that he'd been talking to quite a bit, and Craig had found everybody else except for Seth, and I wanted to see what Craig's input was, if he had any suggestions or questions, or like if he knew who Seth was.
Yeah.
And I think that would have helped to get a little bit more information, but I don't know.
I think we pretty much answered the who would you hire and why.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says it wants me to share this document. Do you want me to just send you the link, or?
Okay. If it's in iLearn, I can probably access it
Yeah.
some.
Yeah, so it's in the lesson 6 group discussion agenda.
It's a salary matrix.
Yeah.
Um, is it under group discussion info? Lesson
I
6.
think it's like the case study activity, and then you have to click the group discussion agenda link.
I don't know if I can see that one.
Um,
Is it the salary information?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
so it looks like it basically shows like how much more money they'd be making if they were to transfer over to RSA.
So, I mean, David is quite a bit of money. So, I mean, keeping him around for a few years would be really expensive, but it might pay off.
Yeah, if you picked Rena, you wouldn't waste any money.
Yeah, with Rena, you wouldn't waste too much.
Didn't David want to bring some of his own people with him?
Yeah, and they like in the article said like he gladly agreed to that.
So that
Yeah.
would be even more dough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of money. And then,
So what's the relevance to all of this? I mean, obviously money is a consideration, but why do you think they included this for us to look at?
I think one is to see like how much more each person costs. I mean, Sonia, she's about the same as Rena. And Seth, he's got some more experience, but neither of them are stars. And so I think once you hit the whole star status, you're almost guaranteed $1 million. And I feel like that's one reason. But I think another reason is, okay, how much money will they bring in to the company? If they bring in 1.5 million, or if they bring in 5 million, then maybe looking at David a little closer might be worth it. But
Yeah, it's definitely true. Although I think if you were to just stick with Rena and just provide her with a little bit more training, you could probably bump her salary up just like by 0.1 and still reach that star status and not have to spend as much money on it, make more money.
yeah, because wasn't it Sonia that she was like, oh, all of a sudden she was just feeling really underpaid because she didn't know that's how much people made?
Yeah,
Is that
I think that was
I think you could kind of do the same thing with Sonia or Rena. Just say, hey, this is what we'll pay you. What do you think? And to them, that might seem like a lot of money, when really you're kind of saving the company a little bit of cash. Whereas David and Gerald, they've been around for quite a while. They know the ropes. They know how much everybody's getting paid. You can't save any money that way.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
How would you, I know they talked about it in the case study, how would you characterize the culture at that company? What's your take on what the culture was like there? Or at least what they said it was like?
Yeah, they said that the environment was like they were a family. So it's really close knit. They all bounce ideas off each other of their franchises and overlap their work. So it's really a hands-on kind of a company.
Yeah, I kind of got that same feeling as just everybody works as a team. It's got a really big emphasis on teamwork, but because I mean, people had turned down 15-20% bonuses to stay working there. Wow, that's a lot of money. But looking at how much everybody makes, I mean, I don't know if it would be too much of a difference once you hit so much money, So I think that's part of it is a friendly working environment. It's really nice to work there. A lot of people enjoy it, and so they don't really want to leave, and so they don't have to pay as much. Thompson, it seemed like he didn't really like that mold. He was thinking, I kind of want to stick out. I kind of want to make a name for myself, not for my team, but for myself, and that's kind of why he left. But
Well, the thing I'm wondering about is, and it kind of goes into this next question about what to do with Rena. How comfortable are you with them kind of just blowing past her in this consideration?
Yeah.
If they're so family oriented and team oriented, I'm questioning, how much of a consideration do they really give her in doing this?
yeah, that's a good point. I kind of looked at that, and also like they didn't want to give people a lot of money. I mean, people were saying, yeah, I turned down 15%, 20% bonuses to stay here. I mean, if I was a manager for that company or something like that, I'd say, well, if you're worth that much, we'll pay you a bit more. I don't know if we'll pay you the whole 15 or 20% more for turning it down, but you deserve a bonus or a raise for turning down another company. And then, yeah, kind of blowing past that, there were a few things that made me wonder how the employees felt, not just the employers. You could tell that Tom kind of liked it there. He was the senior analyst of that he had been there a little while, and they could joke around, but I don't know about everybody else. The boss and everybody else was kind of asking, okay, when are you going to replace Rena? I don't know if that's because they didn't like her work or if they just wanted a star. I don't know, but it could have gone either way.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird that, they put her in the position of filling in after Peter left, but didn't actually give her an interview like they did with everybody else. Or even like really ask the other employees around the office like they did with the other candidates. They asked employees around the office and also called those clients, but they never really did that with Rena. So I think he had it in his mind that, hey, I'm not going to give it to Rena from the beginning, but didn't realize it.
I tossed around the idea of Rena kind of as my first pick for a while, but it just seemed like the boss and everybody who had to work with her kind of wanted somebody different. And so I said, okay, maybe she isn't the best pick for some reason. But that was really the only reason that I didn't go with her.
I thought, go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I thought that Skylar, one of the things you mentioned was the idea of pairing up Rena with a senior person. And I think you mentioned Dave, right?
I think it was David Hughes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's the older guy.
Yeah, it would have been him. If I said somebody different, that's what I meant.
No, I think that's what you said. Well, in fact, I know that's what you said. If you think of this whole thing in the terms of Habit 4, think win-win, coming to this from a perspective of maybe finding a third alternative, another option that's not obvious. It seems to me like that suggestion you made kind of fits into that form a bit. It's kind of a, it's a little bit of a out of the box type of a thought.
Yeah, and I think I put that in my paper. I meant to just kind of think win-win, and then also just kind of to think out of the box. I think it was one of my goals I had suggested to Stephen Connor. But yeah, just kind of thinking out of the box, thinking win-win, because if we go back to that salary information, Rena, yeah, she's worth 0.3 million and David is 1.5. But if you keep him on for 3 years and Rena on for 3 years, that's going to be 5.5 million. But once David leaves, you've got Rena at 0.3 million for a long time, and you're ultimately saving quite a bit of money, I would think.
What are your thoughts, Crystal?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that is a really good suggestion. That does kind of lead into the next question is, now that you see the salaries of everybody and how it would change, does it affect who you would hire? Like, does it change? your decision?
I mean, yeah, I probably would have placed more emphasis on Rena and David kind of working together. But instead of having Seth be my first pick, but I did kind of offer both of those as an idea. But looking back, maybe I should have followed through with that idea and that observation a little bit more.
Yeah. If I was smart enough, I probably would have thought of the David and Rena together. But seeing the salaries, I think I probably would still stick with Sonia because, I mean, you're not using as much money as you would with Seth, but it's just a little bit more than Rena.
Yeah.
So
And that's
the objective of pairing up Rena with David would be that she would be developed, right?
yeah.
She would, because that's part of the concern they've got with her, that she's not quite ready yet. She's still considered a junior analyst and all that stuff. So my question would be, could any of the others fill that role in bringing some senior experience to the plate and also be developing Rena? I mean, the advantage of bringing Hughes on is everyone's kind of concerned, well, he's old, how long is he going to last?
Yeah.
Well, if you offered him a 2-year contract and explicitly made it part of the agreement that he needs to train Rena to take his job when he leaves in 2 years, that could kind of cover both bases. But my question is there anyone else in that group of candidates that could do the same thing, that you'd feel comfortable with bringing on and either training her or, excuse me, or perhaps working as a team in going forward?
I would probably pick Seth because going back, Gerald didn't seem to have a very good attitude towards other employees, and that would make it hard to train Rena considering his background.
Yeah. I wouldn't suggest Gerald just because he was kind of the best and kind of cocky. I don't know how good he would be at training. Seth, I could see him working really well at that. I don't know if he'd settle just for training somebody else, though. Kind of same with Sonia. But while you were talking about that, I kind of thought about Tom Walters. He was kind of the one that knows the business pretty well, that Stephen called. I wondered if you could bring him over from telecommunications to kind of train Rena. Because if it is a big family kind of like that, why not just keep somebody in the company still in the company? But I don't know how well that would work. That's thinking way out of the box, but
yeah, but it's a good question to ask though, because they're kind of saying one thing about how they operate. We're a family, we're a team. We believe in kind of growing our own, so to speak. But in this case, they're kind of getting away from that. Well, at least now without giving Rena some look ahead as to what they might want from her developmental wise. So it seems to me it'd be a big impact on this company to bring in a gunslinger. I don't know. What do you think?
yeah, I think it could have quite the impact. Just kind of skimming through the paper a little bit. He didn't want to talk to anybody else in the company or out of the company for fear of spreading the word that they needed somebody new. And then when he was talking to Tom, he was kind of short. Same with Rena. Like, it didn't feel like that family business, teamwork. It felt a little bit more like, all right, I need this information from you. Give it to me as fast as you can, and I'll leave you alone. So maybe it wasn't the best that they had said it was.
Yeah, I agree. If it was my company, I'm all about saving money. So I would probably just keep Rena and maybe have the other senior analyst come in and maybe train her, not even have to hire anybody. I mean, if they all do really work that close together, then it wouldn't be that hard for them to jump in and help her out.
Yeah, and hiring somebody that's already got, all their own analysts and, kind of the way that they do things, it might mess up the company norms and stuff like that. And it could be worse than it is better.
Well, it's certainly a consideration. Yeah, it's if anything that you learn from this thing, it's not black and white.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nuances to this.
I mean, I think we've kind of already answered it, but it says, should staffing give Rena a permanent offer or hire outside the company? I mean, I think we just answered.
Yeah.
I guess this next one I don't really understand. It said, should Stefan have let Peter go? Like, should they have fired him? Is that the question? Or is it, should they have fought a little bit more?
Yeah, I think that's more what it is. Like, should we have fought a little bit more? Kind of, said, hey, here's a bonus if you want to stay on. Looking at it from this point of view, maybe Steven should have said, hey, I know this isn't your favorite, but hang in there for 2 years, train Rena, we'll give you a 15% bonus or something like that. And, then we wouldn't have to mess up anything. We'd have Peter on for a few more years and say, hey, this is who your replacement's going to be. You get a bit of a bonus. We don't have to hire somebody on the spot. It's a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting why he didn't make that attempt. Crystal, you're going to say something about.
I think maybe they didn't do something, because in the article it did say that he kind of just quit like on the spot and didn't give really any notice. I think it might have just been kind of a surprise to everybody, and they weren't sure how to take it, considering, I mean, everyone stays there for the majority of their career, and to have someone just get up and walk out is kind of a shock, and maybe they didn't think of it until maybe later. I think his main priority was like, okay, and I have to replace him. I don't think his mind went to trying to keep him.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's how dare he quit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Like once you leave, you're gone for good. There is no coming back.
Yeah. I think, Skylar, you had basically answered the next one. It's, should Steven have asked the recruiter about Seth? And you said that you did mention that he should have.
Yeah, I feel like, with Big just coming out of left field, you don't want them you can get. So
Yeah, because it's like maybe they left him out for a reason. Maybe he doesn't have a very good background.
Yeah, maybe there could be some very big unforeseen, problem that he's got, or,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I think we got that one pretty well.
Does the performance at one firm guarantee high performance at another?
I would say no, just based on personal experiences and and the thing itself. It was either David or Gerald. I mix them up. But every time he moved companies, his production went down quite a bit, and then it'd come back up, and then he'd move to another company, and it'd go down again, and then it'd climb back up, and then it'd move, and it'd go down again. So and then just based on my own experiences, I feel like I've done better work at different places just because of who the people were and how I felt, how they felt,
Mm-hmm.
Performance varies quite a bit, I would think.
Yeah, I think it all just depends on what you're surrounded by at the time. I mean, this article says that there's really big group work and they're a family, but another firm is let's get this done, let's get our numbers higher.
Yeah, like give me 1 second. The one that Seth is coming from, I think it's Johnson, the Jefferson Brothers. That company is very cutthroat. Whoever gets the best perks. Everybody else doesn't really get anything. So there is that to consider as well.
Yeah. Do you think we answered that one?
Yeah,
I think so.
I just add one more comment, which I'm sure you're aware of. I mean, when you do make hiring decisions, you do look at previous performance. I mean, you've got to look at something, and previous performance can be integral in predicting future performance. But the word guarantee, I don't think I would bet the farm on that, because there are no guarantees. You don't know how things are going to roll out. So you can make your best guess based on performance data and so forth, but there's no guarantees.
Yeah.
So the last one is discuss the types of human capital. This is on iLearn if you wanted the page.
Yeah, I pulled that one up.
Okay. I actually didn't get to look at this until this meeting. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It kind of goes along with the last question, like performance wise, if you know everybody there and you can work really well, your capital, it goes up, like how much you're worth goes up. If you're stuck into a new situation, don't know anybody, and everybody else kind of has their own groups, and you're kind of lost and don't really have anybody in the company, like our last case study, the one that we looked at last week, your capital is going to go down. People are going to wonder why they hired you. You're going to wonder why you're working there, and that's kind of more the company specific and the relationship human capital. But then, you're still you. I can still talk to people pretty easily. I can still fit in most places, and that's that's part of my capital that I can take anywhere. Granted, I'm not going to be able to fit everywhere, but sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think this list they give us, or this continuum that they have, can be useful in setting up kind of a rubric for evaluating folks. What the general management, the strategic skills, industry knowledge, their relationship type situation, specific company knowledge. You can rate people in each one of those categories to help you make a decision. So as you could use it as kind of a rubric to rank folks or evaluate them.
Yeah, that's
if you agree with the definitions and the importance of them.
Yeah, I mean, Rena scores really high in the company specific and everything else, but like Gerald, if we were to take him, he scores extremely high in industry and probably in general as well, but as far as everything else, he's pretty low. Especially in like the relationship human capital. He just doesn't like working with people. He likes doing everything his way, I guess.
Yeah, I think Sonia probably fits in pretty well with the general, because although she has very limited travel schedule, she's still able to make that connection with her clients and still make them happy and feel like they're important.
Yeah. All right.
So what did you learn from this exercise? What's your takeaway?
I learned that it's probably pretty important to look at the big picture when hiring somebody and not just look at something at face value. I think you need to go into their salary and probably look at this human capital and see if they would be a good fit into the company. And maybe it's better just to stay with an inside hire, considering it would save money.
Yeah, I'd say, after everything's said and done, sometimes the best choice is the gut instinct, or the one that nobody sees, is like, yeah, Rena, she's already there. Why not just keep her on? Or just kind of go with something that, we can pull out all these statistics, look at all these things really under a microscope, but sometimes it's the big picture, like, hey, nothing's broke. Why do we need to fix it? That kind of mentality can sometimes be the best. And that's kind of what I took away from it, is if you're already in a win-win situation, why do you have to introduce something to lose?
I don't know, does anyone have any last comments?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like we covered everything pretty well.
Yeah, I think there was some interesting insights shared. So thank you both.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know what happened to James, but
Yeah, I sent the link in the email.
yeah.
So going forward, unless there's some weirdness, it should be at 5 o'clock.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, all of us have been pretty flexible, so I mean,
Well, it doesn't matter to me. I just need to know so I can schedule it, so I can pop in once in a while. I'm
yeah,
going to try to get with you guys every other week. Trying to do 5 of these a week. And, it's a little tricky because some of the times are the same. And anyway, that's my issue. But anyway, it's good to be with you.
yeah, you too. Thanks for
Thank you.
hopping on.
Okay. Have a good week. Or a
Yeah,
good
you too.
weekend, I guess.
See ya.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.